Hi and welcome back to the content video for 2.2 Negative Numbers, Course 1A Singapore Math. So now we deal with negative numbers. Wow. In this chapter, there are four things for us to do. First is recognize and use negative numbers in real world situation. So basically, this is understanding how we use negative numbers in our real world. So let's start with that. For example, when we talk about temperature, say for example, today the temperature at night was minus 30 degrees Celsius. Minus, right? So negative number. When it's positive, of course, like for example, we say 7 degrees Celsius. So when it's temperature, we use negative numbers. Where else do we use negative numbers? For losses, right? So when it's gain, we have positive number, but when it's loss, we made a loss of $2,000 in a business, for example. So for losses, we'll have negative numbers, right? $2,000, negative number because that's a loss. For example, when we talk about sea levels, right? So something that's below, we have negative, right? So there is a fish at minus 100 feet. So we say minus 100 feet. So below is where we use again negative numbers. For above, of course, we have positive numbers, right? And then when we talk about, for example, debits and credits, so debit and credit. Credit is, of course, positive, you're receiving, right? But debit is negative, you're taking it out. So, for example, debit of $100, so we would say minus $100. So, these are some of the situations where we use negative numbers. So, it's important for us to understand where do we use these numbers? Why do we need negative numbers? So, for temperature, that's below 0 degree. For the losses, for below sea levels, and for debits. These are some situations where we use negative numbers in our day-to-day lives. Okay, so we know where we use. Now let's go further and see how do we represent negative numbers on a number line. We know how to represent positive numbers, right? So now let's understand how do we represent negative numbers on a number line. So again, as we have for positive numbers, we have horizontal number line and we have a vertical number line. Let's put 0 here. We also know that on this side, on the right side of the 0, we have positive numbers, right? So where do our negative numbers go? They go on the left side of the 0. So that's where we will put negative numbers. Again, for the vertical line, we put 0 here. And on the top, above, we know there are positive numbers. So you know where our negative numbers go, right? Yes, they go here. Below 0, our negative numbers go. So this is how we represent negative numbers. Be it whole numbers, be it fractions, be it decimals, be it mixed numbers. On the horizontal, they will be always on the left-hand side of 0, and on the vertical, they will be below 0. Okay, so let's write some numbers here and see how it works. So we write 1 here, so minus 1 will be here, minus 2 will be here, this 2 will be here. This distance will be same. Whatever distance is here will be here too. Okay? And let's represent numbers on the vertical line, but here we shall represent decimals, for example. So we say 0.2, 0.4, and likewise. So here we will say minus 0.2, minus 0.4. Okay? And the distance will be same. This distance and this distance will be same. So we can say that minus 1 is opposite of 1. Likewise, we can say minus 0.4 is opposite of 0.4 because the distance is same. Now, the catch here is that for 0, there's no plus 0, there's no minus 0. So this is how we represent negative numbers on a number line. So let's go to this next part which says we have to compare them. So let's use number line because we have to do using number line. So that's the number line here. My number here is, let's say, minus 22, and here it's minus 30. So minus 30 and minus 22. How do I use this inequality sign? Remember, if it was just 30 and 22, like 30 and 22 positive, we know 30 is greater than 22. But when it's negative numbers, it works exactly opposite. So minus 30 is smaller than minus 22. Okay? I'm repeating, minus 30 is less than minus 22. And minus numbers will always be less than positive numbers, right? So let's say here our vertical number line, that's 0. Let's say this is 10 and this is minus 20. So 10 and minus 20. You don't even have to look at numbers. Positive numbers are always greater than negative numbers, always. Okay? So this is how we use inequality signs to compare negative numbers. Clear? Very good. And here comes the last part, which is interpret and explain statements of order involving negative numbers in real world situations. So it's basically we have a statement, we have to understand, and we have to write an expression for that. Say, for example, if we say 2 degrees is warmer, I know 2 degrees is not, but compared to what, right? So 2 degrees is warmer than minus 5 degrees Celsius. Then it's true, right? 2 degrees by itself is cold, but when you are comparing here, right? Then 2 degrees Celsius is warmer than minus 5 degrees Celsius. How do we write it in an expression form, like comparison like this? So we write 2 here and we write minus 5 there. So we said positive, negative, when you compare, positive is always greater. So this is how you write an expression. So this is exactly what you have to do. Interpret and explain the statements, right? So the statement is here, we interpret it. This is how we express it. Okay? So this chapter is just about this. If you understand these 4 things, you are ready to do the independent practice. I know you must be rushing, you want to finish independent practice soon. But I suggest, as always, rewatch this video so that your concepts become crystal clear and you are ready for the independent practice. And we shall meet soon in the independent practice video. Until then, keep revising, keep learning, and also have fun. Goodbye.